prayer before we start the next session. Smrami Lalita Vadanarvindam Bimbadaram Prutulamoukika Shobhinasam Akarnadidanayanam Manikundaladyam Mandasmitam Mrugamadojvala Haradesham Pratar Bhajami Lalita Bhujakalpavallim Raktanguliya Nasadanguli Pallavadyam Manikya Kemavalayangada Shogamanam Pundreshu Chapa Usumeshu Srinidadhanam Pradar Namami Lalita Charanarvindam Bhakteshtadhana Niratam Bhavasindhupotam Padmasanadi Suranayaka Pujaniyam Padmankushadvaja Sudarshana Lanchanadhyam Pratastube Parashivam Lalitam Bhavani Trayanta Vidya Vibhavam Karunanavadyam Vishwasya Srishti Vilaya Sthiti Hetu Bhutam Vidyeshwarim Nigamavan Manasati Duram Pratar Vadami Lalite Tava Punya Nama Kameshwariti Kamaleti Maheshwariti Shri Shambhaviti Jagatam Janani Pareti Vagdevateti Vachasa Tripureshwariti Pratar Smrami Lalita Pratar Smrami Lalita. Thank you.
Namaskaram to everyone. Jayaramam Narasimha Avtaram Narasimha Pautram Narasimha Putram Gayatri Radha Bhartaram Jayanta Markandeya Pitaram Janani Naveen Satvik Pitamaham Vandeham. What I just mentioned is the lineage of that entire family, and I salute him. Jayaram, born in Mandya, a small town in the state of Karnataka, in 1944, on February 12th, which is Lincoln's birthday. So we just sort of celebrate that one every year. We used to celebrate all the time. He was born to my parents, Narsingh Rao and Savitrama. And the initial education was in Mandya. Then we all moved to Bengaluru, which is now called as the Silicon Valley of India. And there, Jayaram had his high school education in a school called as Bengaluru High School. And the same high school, and then he was the classmate of Dr. Ramakrishna. And later on, he did his pre-university in a college called as Gas College. We used to call it as Gas College, Government Arts and Science College. Normally, people used to go to National College or some other college, but my brother sort of took a challenge. Yeah, I want to go to the government college and then I will just prosper. He went to Gas College, scored very, very high marks, and then afterwards he was able to go either to engineering or to the medical field. He was given admission to both engineering and then medicine. And at that time, his three elder brothers were already either engineers or technologists. So my father said, at least there must be one doctor in the family, so why don't you just choose medicine? So the profession was selected by my father, and Jayaram became a doctor. And for a very brief stint, he was an assistant professor in physiology in the Mysore Medical College, where he actually graduated from. And then he moved on to come to the US, and he did his residency in St. Louis Hospital in New York, and he followed with several fellowships in different hospitals in the New York area. Later on, he worked for many years in the county of Suffolk in Long Island, and he took an early retirement to take on other challenges. And during this time, he got into the Army Reserves and rose in the ranks, and somebody else will talk about that more, and then I don't want to dwell upon that one more. And for a brief time, for about a year or so, he went to Berkeley, University of Berkeley, and he did his Master of Public Health. And he has three elder brothers and the only younger brother here. And we used to be together with a lot of love and affection, attachment, and also many quarrels. And particularly the quarrels used to be between Jayaram and his elder brother Narayan. And sometimes I would just conspire with Jayaram to do this quarrel and then enjoy it. And in the ultimate analysis, what would happen is, because of these quarrels, my father would just get very angry and then trash both of them. And sometimes when my father is not there, then the quarrel would become quite big. I would start crying, and then both of them would just, oh, okay, Ratu is crying, and then let us just stop now. So this is how the sort of family ties developed. Always, all the five brothers were sort of like one single mind, and it remained like that all the time. My brother was very interested in lots and lots of activities, and probably many people will highlight that one later on. And one of the things that he used to love was storytelling, and like the Mahabharata and Ramayana. And there also, he would be very passionate to select some rare stories in Ramayana and Mahabharata. Not many people would know those things, and then he would just research those type of stories, and then he would just share it with young people and then adults in a very, very nice way. And another activity that he just liked was to research the contributions of some Kannadigas who have come out of India and what they have done. And then he would just say, yeah, these are the Kannadigas who have contributed a lot in outside of Karnataka. But we should remember, he has contributed himself, but he was not in the picture, but he would just want to recognize other people. That was his quality. If I continue more, I probably may become more emotional, but one thing I would just like to say, if there is a rebirth for my brother Jayaram, I would like to be born as his brother.
Hello, my name is Jayaram. I am his elder son, Dr. Jayaram's elder son. Can you hear me okay? Is this any better? Sorry, I was not born with the gift of his loud voice. Skipped a generation. Luckily for me, my kids have it. So I get a lot of those same quarrels that you lived in. But anyway, I'm the older son, my name is Jayaram, and kind of reflected a little bit after he passed. And it came to me that he really was a great father. And I can honestly say that I owe my whole life to him. And I mean that not just biologically. Like we can all say that biologically we come from our parents. But for me, it was a lot more, so much more. Please indulge me as I try to recount how some of those ways. So first of all, he taught me very important values. There are three primarily that come to my mind. First one, and it's in this order, do your duty in all aspects of life. You heard from my Chickappa that he was a great student, and in fact, he was his teacher. He was instructed by my grandfather to teach my uncle to learn how to read and write and math and all that stuff. And he had that same teaching style with me. And he was a great teacher, but very, very hard, strict. And I used to dread the trips that we used to make because as soon as that car door closed, and I can tell you, I was probably age 4.5 to 5, as soon as that door closed, he gave me 3 words, and I knew they were coming. And they were 212. Okay? So that's 212 for those who don't speak Kannada. And that's the initiation. That's not the area code for Manhattan. It's the initiation of the recitation of the multiplication facts. So as soon as that car door closed, before we even pulled out of the driveway, I just got 212, 224, 236. I didn't even know what I was saying. I was only 4.5 years old. I didn't know multiplication. But he drilled it in there, and thankfully for him, by age 6, first grade, I knew through my 11s. A couple years later, through the 15s, I was like, we're done there. And he said, no, we're pushing on to 19. So those were some long car trips. But it didn't stop there, because after the multiplication tables came, what is the capital of? We go to all 50 states. And the good thing is you actually travel to almost all 50 states. I think I went around 45 with him. And we weren't done there either. After that, it was conversions, right? How many liters in a gallon, how many blah, 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 how many, minutes in a light year. It was all sorts of craziness. But the point is that he instilled in me the value of education and learning, and he drove me and pushed me to my limits and beyond. Now in the office, he was also known as a hard worker and a respected contributor and leader, both in his civilian and his military duties. And it was that really gave me the drive to later decide to serve in our nation's army. And that legacy continues because his grandson, my son Naveen, is about to start the Coast Guard Academy. So he is continuing the legacy of service to our nation. But most importantly, he was a great support to family, friends, and others in the community. He was there, always eager to help, physically, financially, emotionally. He was there. Now, he also, the second very important characteristic that he taught me was to be self-sufficient, independent. And that's still with me today. I do so many things that my kids will tell you, like, what the hell are you doing? You know what you're doing. And I'm like, yeah, well, we figured it out. For instance, I can remember I was only 6 years old again, and he said, hey, it's time for you to learn how to cut the grass. And it wasn't one of these push mowers, I wasn't strong enough. He said, hey, you're going on the riding tractor. All right, pretty cool, 6 years old, you could drive. So that was a lot of fun and cool, except for one time, I happened to put it in reverse by accident, and I floored it, and I looked back, and there's a shed. And I panicked, and I jumped. I fell down, I started crying because I was scared. And my father came running out, I could still envision him shouting with his, Met Bunion on. Like, hey, hey, hey. And then I thought for sure he was like gonna scold me and say, what the hell are you doing? Because that's probably what I would have done with my kids. Well, first of all, I would have never let them drive me. But after having done this, he, picked me up and said, hey, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. Then he went to go and inventory the damage, and I was like, oh man, I gotta get out of here. So I'm gonna get in trouble, so I start walking home. And he's like, where are you going? And I thought, oh boy, I'm gonna get chastised here now. But instead he said, hey, you didn't finish the job, get back on there and finish it. So that's what I did. He also took all sorts of auto shop classes. It was crazy. And he thought he was an auto mechanic instead of a doctor. We were changing oil. We changed a flat tire, even though we didn't have a flat tire. He was like, oh, it's good practice. Like, all right. Because we didn't have video games back then, so we changed tires. The third most important value that he had was, and this he really did, and that was enjoy life. Be adventurous. And he did it all, like my chica pasta. Hang gliding, snow skiing, water skiing, snorkeling, scuba diving, parasailing, whitewater rafting, parachuting, everything, ice skating, he's done it all. And when I asked him, why are you doing all these? He said, well, it keeps him young at heart, but he wants to teach me, right? He wants to be young, feel young, and teach me everything that he could. So he wanted to do those first and do an activity together. One of the things that he also loved was passion of sports. Right? He loved playing volleyball, and we'll get to that in a minute, but he loved watching sports, especially football, or what he would call sometimes football. And really watching a game with him was sometimes better than the game itself, a lot more entertaining. And but you'd have to be spun up on some of the terminology that he used. For instance, touchdown was touchy, field goal is fieldy. So you're gonna hear a lot of touchy and fieldy in the conversation. Those were pretty easy. Some were medium, like in-core, that was interception. And theoretically, they can still win. I can still remember him saying that many, many times, because the Jets were always in the dumpster, and they were always fighting back, but theoretically, they could still win. Some were harder, like Pitik, that was a fumble, and Gampa and Gurlu are commonly used, especially for the Jets. And, sometimes you got a reference to Kadlekai Bija, peanuts. Okay. I'm not going to go on that tangent. But we did have an instance of going to the Olympic Games in Atlanta, volleyball, which he loved to play, and he used to play that in high school. And like I said, he had this big bellowing voice. And every time, like there was a point played, he'd say, head, head. I'm like, I didn't even know what that was. I heard you, head, head, right? What is that? It's like, it means jump and spike. Right?
Charge.
What's that?
Charge.
Charge. Okay. Well, all of that. So, once we found out, we started saying head. And then the crowd next door were like, what are you saying? And we had to explain to them, they started chanting head. So I was like, all right. He had that kind of influence. it was really something. But he also had a unique side to him. And let me elaborate on what I mean is, he had a lot of commentary that was somewhat gibberish. If you could call it that. So when you're watching the game, yes, you can hear him, talk about this, but anytime he was idle, for even just a couple of minutes, he would just start babbling. And it started way back when I was, baby, and the first things I could hear, remember, is Jayanta, fill in the blank. He's often, very good boy, right? The first lyric. I'd say, yes, yes, yes. And he'd sometimes say, no, no, no. Oh, man, debating him as a 4-year-old was painful. Then next is Jayanta, Kabi Urga. You can get on and on how that would happen. Then he, he worked on his repertoire and got some more stuff like Mudanima, Maganam, Ishtasu, let me throw you the garbage. That's him picking up a child, throwing him on the sofa, or the bean bag, or in the water. He was very, very playful like that. And then, of course, the infamous audio mic. And you've got a lot of answers there. You could say yes, 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 no, 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 Puta Krishna, Putandama, that's good, right? That was always the one that, the best. I can remember one incident when he visited us in Europe. Janani was probably about a year or 2 years old. And we were watching a football game, and he just kept out and on and on and on. I used to, always shut it off. And I was like, can you please stop? He's like, right? He's like, he didn't do anything. I'm like, no, you keep talking and chattering. And he says, no, I don't. I said, okay, I challenge you if you can just keep quiet for 1 hour. He said, bet. Literally, 2 seconds later, he went, put, and he froze, hoping, praying that I didn't see. And I looked at him, and we just laughed. I mean, it was one of those big bellowing laughs, that he always used to do. And of course, he later confided in me that when he was traveling around in Europe on the bus, he got a lot of strange looks, and I think he finally realized that he kept talking these crazy lyrics. Well, finally, I guess the most important thing I think through him is through his friendships that he gave me my best friends. Rajiv, Maitreyi, Ganesh, Mahesh, the list goes on and on. And it's only because of his friendships that I got my long-lasting friendships. And of course, I can't say without, his establishment of founding of NASA, North American Sankheti Association, with a few other founding members. He facilitated my getting to know my wife, lovely wife, Lakshmi, the mother of our 3 great children, Janani, Naveen, and Satvik. So, like I said, I owe my entire life to him, every aspect. And to me, he was both inspirational and aspirational. And yes, Dad, like you told me before many times, I am and always will be your dad's table. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mandya. I'm Jayaram's second son, and I decided to write a poem about my father, about his life. I'm not going to try to get emotional, but I probably will, so I'm sorry if I do. I'm just going to start reading my poem. They're just thoughts that just came to me. Father, Father, what a name, for life is just one big game. The game of life I used to play way back when in 3rd or 4th grade. You came to this world in 1944 during the midst of World War II. Grew up in India you did, being so poor. The 4th child of 5 you were to be born as a Brahmin in a sect called Sankheti. You wooed the world with your quickness and wit and never desired the ability to quit. You grew up in a country called India in the state of Karnataka. You were born in Mandya, known as the Sugar City. Hence, you were so sweet and filled with great life. You were an academic from the beginning and showed your very might. You secured multiple first ranks in your pre-university PUC schooling. First rank is #1 in the state. Was it desire or was it simply fate? Everyone envied you for your mind, however you were so gentle and so kind. You were happy to share your vast knowledge, and hence you were taught in a great college that was filled with much knowledge. Mysore Medical has a great name, and they are so privileged to associate with the city. You were so popular to all so dear that you met the king of Mysore, let it be so clear. You left India in 1966 and came to New York City, where you can experience a variety of kicks. You took to America and all it had to offer. You traveled the world and needed your coffer. The city of Riverhead in Long Island was calling your name, and hence you went to settle the same. You were quick to move as you were a saint. The city of St. James was all it ain't. You took to the bay to follow the gold. The Golden Gate Bridge has one more dreamer, so told. UC Berkeley had all the game. For the first year you studied, obtaining a master's degree, for alas, the public had nothing to fear. A master's of public health was bestowed, let it be so clear. Alas, you loved Long Island so much, you came back quickly, for better or not. You lived in Long Island for more than 25 years and developed a modeled accent of English, I-N-G-L-I-C-H, let it be so clear. The words of Long Island follow you not, like mall or coffee, so silly or not. You heard a calling to be a prince, and you went to Prince George, Virginia to get your kicks. The city of Richmond became so rich as you filled the area with so much folly and bliss. Kenner Army Hospital was a mess, and you made it your mission to do no less than the best. You received a 99 out of 100 on your JCO score, ensuring your patients were not so sore. You aimed so high and you did so well that when you left Fort Lee, they rewarded you with a high-ho gun salute. You wanted to serve and join the armed forces, joining the army, let it be, joining the army to be all you can be. You bled green for your country, you rose to the ranks from major to colonel, obtaining many awards and adding to your many merits. You were bestowed a very high award, the Legion of Merit, for all your ferrets. You did your duty and you served many tours, hopping from Germany to South America. In the time of terror, you came a-running to respond to 9/11. You left the army to become a civilian working in the state of New Jersey. You decided to finally retire. Alas, life had no more fire. You continued to work as a contractor for the army, being sent all over on various assignments. No matter how old and no matter how weak, you continued to work till you couldn't speak. The day of judgment finally came, and you departed us on March 8th at the age of 79. You were a match made in heaven as it entered the world in 1979. I will ever miss you, dear God. You are always a saint. May your new life continue with vigor and fire. I too shall come follow someday. Thank you for allowing me to be your son. My son is gone and will have no more light. However, I shall continue as a fight. I will aspire to live your vigor, enjoying every day to the fullest. The game of life continues, whether I like it or not. I will always love you, dear Dad. Let it be known for all. Things that I remember about my father, and that I always cherish, are just the little pointless batter about the gas prices, and how he would always complain how the Middle East was always ripping off America. And just the drive and the willingness to continue. It was only because of him and my mother that I was able to go in and get my 2 master's degrees and a CPA and the litany of service that I have today. Thank you, everyone.
Gurubhyo Namaha, Harihi Om. Dr. Jayaram is my brother-in-law. I am Dr. Bara Surendra. As Dr. Dattatri has spoken about him, I literally represent Karnataka. I am a writer in Kannada. And the enthusiasm, energy, and the smiling face that Dr. Jayaram had. I am a story writer and also I have written so many dramas and enacted. And every drama, if I say that there is a small role, would you like to come and play? He would jump and then come and then enact in any of the dramas that I did. And one of the rare sequence that I remember is, like in our Hinduism, we are Madhvas and then the Shaivas. And when Swamiji of Udupi came here and then he wanted me to write a drama on Krishna, Bandhvacharya bringing Krishna to Udupi, and then he brought Krishna from Udupi to New Jersey, and then I wrote a drama. Then I was looking to find who can become a Madhvacharya, who is a Madhva. Then somehow came into my mind, yes, Dr. Jayaram can become a Madhvacharya. I asked him, he said, oh, I'm not a Madhva. Can I be a Madhvacharya? Then I said, yes, sure, because I can see Madhvacharya in you, the structure and then, the way you are. And you believe it or not, because we have to put all the mudras and everything, it is a different culture. He learned everything going to Guraj Rao, who was our Madhva great saint. And he went there and he learned how to put mudra and everything, and when the day came for the acting, he was ready as a Madhvacharya. And he chanted the Madhvacharya stotras and everything. That was his story. And as Dattatri has spoken, he has spoken about all the great people of Karnataka. But when I was the president of Kannada and celebrated 40th anniversary in New York, we did recognize all of his achievements, and along with all the dignitaries, we actually felicitated him in that event. Just I'd like to tell you that. And during the pandemic, I started to make people to engage their evenings, and what Dattatri said, and one of the best things that he contributed was the untold stories of Mahabharata. And that was liked by everybody, and then we used to do that every week. And he was with us for every aspect. And I came to this country and I studied my master's in Stony Brook. And he was my backbone. He taught me law. And then we moved on. At this time, I would like to mention that my sister-in-law, she's my sister. She loved him, she worshipped him like one of the historic wife. And I don't know how to express with you all guys, how can she lead her life further without him? She's totally involved in him, every aspect of his life, starting from morning till the end. And that was his concern too. I request everyone to pray for Dr. Jayaram. I and give her the energy. I told her, like, Jayaram is everywhere. He is in your heart. He is everywhere. You can see him. Only his body is gone, as in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says. The Atma is there. He's there. He's there somewhere, listening to all of us, listening to you. He will be with you. He will guide you. You don't have to be scared. You have two beautiful sons, and they will take care of you. We will take care of you. And she keep on crying, and she never stopped crying after his illness. And she still thinks that he's coming alive, and then, like she will be joining her in every walk of her life. But, dear sister, he will be there with you, every walk of your life, from now onwards. So he will be with you. I don't want you to cry anymore. Dear friends, as I told you, I am a writer in Kannada. I have written a poem on Dr. Jayaram. Of course, it is in Kannada. For non-Kannadigas, Kannada is such a beautiful language, and it is a fully written and oldest language. And I think with my expression, you can understand what I have written. But I would like to read in that language only, which way he came from. Dr. Jayaramರಿಗೆ ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾಭರಿತ ವಂದನೆ. I am saluting him, Dr. Jayaram. Dattatreya said, the name and the meaning of Jayaram, which I have incorporated in my poem. Jayarama, ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಂತು ಬಣ್ಣಿಸುವುದು ಪದ ಪುಂಜ ಸಾಲದಲ್ಲ. ಜಯರಾಮ, ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಂತು ಬಣ್ಣಿಸುವುದು ಪದ ಪುಂಜ ಸಾಲದಲ್ಲ. I couldn't find more words to express my, what Jayaram is. That's what I mean. ಸಕ್ರಿಯ, ಸೃಜನಾತ್ಮಕ, ಸಮರ್ಥ, ಹರ್ಷ ಚಿತ್ತ, ಬಾಷ್ಪಶೀಲ, ಸ್ನೇಹಮಯಿ. These are all the words that is meant, the word Jayaram. And these are all of them. Sakriya, Srijanatmaka, Samartha, Harsha Chitta, Bashpashila, Snehamayi. ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಮನವೊಲಿಸುವ ಮಾತುಗಾರಿಕೆಯ ಪ್ರವರ್ತಕರು ನೀವಾಗಿರಲ್ಲ. Even a little kid, a known kid, unknown person, he used to reach out to everyone in this world. No one was actually a stranger to him. ಜನಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗೂ ಮನವೊಲಿಸುವ ಮಾತುಗಾರಿಕೆಯ ಪ್ರವರ್ತಕರು ನೀವಾಗಿರಲ್ಲ. ವೇದೋಪನಿಷತ್ತುಗಳ ಸಾರವ ಸಾರಿ, that's what it is. ನೀವಿಂದು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನಗಲಿ ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಮರೆಯಾಗಿ ಆಕಾಶದಾಚೆ ಹೋಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ಲ. ನೀವಿಂದು ಕಣ್ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಮರೆಯಾಗಿ ಆಗಸದಾಚೆ ಹೋಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿರಲ್ಲ. ಉರುಳುವ ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಡಿಯಲಾಗದು. We cannot control the days. ಹೊರಳಿದ ಕಾಲವ ಮರಳಿಸಲಾಗದು. ಹಿಂದುಳಿದ ಒಂದೊಂದು ದಿನಗಳ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕ್ಷಣಗಳು ಅನುಭವದ ಸವಿ ಮುತ್ತುಗಳಾಗಿ ಭವ್ಯ ಬದುಕಿನ ಸಾಧನೆಯ ಸರಮಾಲೆಯಾಗಿ. Every minute that he lived and every achievement that he achieved, that became a pearl, and that became like a saramale for him. That's what I am saying. ನಾಕ ನರಕವಿರುವ ಈ ಜೀವನದ ಸುಖ ದುಃಖಗಳ ಸಮ್ಮೇಳಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು, heaven and earth and sorrow, he took joy, everything equal, ಸಮ್ಮೇಳಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಧೀರತ್ವದಿಂದ ಮುನ್ನಡೆದು ಮಹತ್ತರ ಸಾಧನೆಯ ಹಿಮಾಲಯ ಪರ್ವತವನ್ನೇರಿ ಮುಗಿಲು ಮುಟ್ಟಿರುವಲ್ಲಿ. I think that he has reached the epic of his achievements. ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮ ಸರ್ವ ಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗಿಂದು ನಮನ. ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮ ಸರ್ವ ಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗಿಂದು ನಮನ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್, ಮುಂದಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಮಾದರಿಯಾದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ನೆನಪು ಚಿರನೂತನ. Even the youngest generation, they can remember forever. ಇಹಲೋಕದಿಂದ ಸತ್ಯ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಪಯಣಿಸಿರುವಲ್ಲಿ ಇಹಲೋಕದಿಂದ ಸತ್ಯ ಲೋಕಕ್ಕೆ ಪಯಣಿಸಿರುವಲ್ಲಿ ಸತ್ಯಲೋಕ ಇಸ್ ದ ಹೆವೆನ್. ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ, ಎಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆತ್ಮ ಬಂಧು ಮಿತ್ರರ ಸದಾ ಹರಸುತ್ತಲಿರಲಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆತ್ಮ ಬಂಧು ಮಿತ್ರರ ಸದಾ ಹರಸುತ್ತಲಿರಲಿ. Jesus, let his soul will be blessing all of us. Thank you.
The battery is low.
What?
The power on the laptop is low. It says low battery.
Namaskara to everyone. Namaste. My name is Ramakrishna. I am the in-law of Jayaram. In-law, my daughter is married to his son. As I said earlier, we are running a little late. Appreciate your patience for under 15-20 minutes. Now, as we are celebrating the life of Dr. Jayaram, and in our tradition, we call this the Vaikunta Samaradhana. Vaikunta Samaradhana has 3 words. I'll come to that. So this celebration of life, some people believe there is one life, and this one life has no defined purpose. In a random birth, there is no defined purpose. Everyone makes, in that context, in that understanding, everyone makes a certain decision for their own life, and then they achieve certain things, and that has been described here in the case of Dr. Jayaram. Now, how does the Vaikunta Samaradhana, how do we reconcile this with the celebration of life? Now, as I said, Vaikunta Samaradhana, Aradhana means adoration. Adoration is something, a proxy for celebration. It glorifies the life of the person that just left us. Now, in order to understand this, we have to understand this Vaikunta and Sama. Now, Vaikunta is the abode of Vishnu, the supreme God. Now, in the context of this rebirth, Vaikunta Samaradhana is in the context of rebirth. Now, rebirth means there is a purpose. You thought the rebirth has a purpose, unlike the single life, that is a random process. Here, this is what is the single purpose, the unique purpose, that is based on the life he has led in the past lives. So with that, he or she comes to this life with a purpose, and that purpose is defined, as I said, by the previous lives. And Sama, there are several meanings for this Sanskrit word Sama. One of them is settlement. So settlement of the purpose of this life towards to go into Vaikunta. Vaikunta is the abode of Vishnu, and one who goes to Vaikunta has no birth again. That's the tradition. Now, everybody definitely completes the purpose of that life based on what he brought to this life as the impressions accumulate from several lives. Now, if everybody completes this purpose, what is the difference? The difference comes in how he lives that living, how he lives that life. That how he lives depends in the process. At the end of this life, he may fall short, he or she may fall short, or he or she may exceed also, in which case there is a credit. That credit goes to the next life. Like this, going to Vaikunta, there is no defined path. Everyone has to tread there. There is no paved path, let us say. everyone has to go make their path, and in this process, Krishna gives some guidance for us. He says in the 12th chapter, the characteristics of a devotee, Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra maitram karunamevacha. Adveshta means this person is hate-free towards all beings, not only human beings, animals, plants, etc. And then this Adveshta, I don't hate, I cannot be indifferent. So Krishna adds the word Maitra, friendship. You have to develop, not only you don't hate to all beings, not just human beings. And then he develops friendship with them. And then once you develop friendship, how do you express that friendship? Karuna, compassion. Now, so hate-free, then friendship and compassion, these three form the basic framework for living, and doing this, he can make his path towards the Vaikuntha. Now, coming to the person in question here, we are addressing, Dr. Jayaram lived this Adveshta Sarvabhutanam Maitraha Karunaha, all these characteristics we saw in Dr. Jayaram. Not only the human beings, he had a good garden behind his home. He loved the plants so much, he took pride in walking everyone guest that goes to his home, he takes them to show his garden. That's the love he developed even for plants. And then, as many have expressed so far, the love for other friends also has been displayed by him, and compassion automatically comes through once you develop friendship and have no hate. Compassion automatically comes through. That we have seen in the life of Dr. Jayaram. Now, with this, my feeling is Dr. Jayaram is well on his way to Vaikuntha. Dattatri said that he wants to be his brother in the next life, but you will have to meet him in Vaikuntha. Because one who goes to Vaikuntha, you only check in, you don't check out. Because you don't check out, you have no another birth. See, birth is painful for everybody, but from the day of birth to the day of end, there's a pain of one kind or the other. But if you go to Vaikuntha, it is bliss all the time. See, in the last, this quote is chanted, Sa Narayanam avapnoti, Sayujyam avapnoti, Narayana Sayujyam avapnoti, that's what it said. Narayana Sayujyam is company of Narayana, he obtains. That is Vaikuntha, and once we go to Vaikuntha, we don't come back, and we are absolutely confident that Dr. Jayaram has reached that place. Namaskar.
Good morning, namaskara to everyone. Thank you for all being here today to celebrate the life of my father-in-law. So I had a very unique relationship with him as his one and only daughter-in-law. And we had lots of great memories and great times. And, he was always with us through the tough times too. One of the things that we know in Hinduism is this belief that God is in all of us, right? And so as a parent, it's both our challenge and privilege to see that divinity in our children at all times. This concept, I think, is shared with us through the story of when Yashoda is taking care of Krishna, and he, of course, has eaten a bunch of dirt. And she's cleaning his mouth out, and she looks inside to make sure she got it all, and she sees the universe, okay? And so, though my children, Naveen especially, has eaten a lot of dirt, and I have cleaned a lot of dirt out of his mouth, and I unfortunately did not see the universe there, so I am no Yashoda, but I still felt that God had given me 3 Krishnas. And my father-in-law felt the same way. And he, I think, was someone who really, appreciated, recognized, understood why my duty as a mother was so important to me. And he always, no matter what, he said, "You're the best mom." And, that was wonderful support. He loved his grandchildren so much. Their childhoods were full of horsey rides and up a bunny and garbage and all kinds of rhymes and jingles and nicknames. So they have many wonderful memories of him. And as they grew, he couldn't have been more proud of Janani's brilliance, Naveen's athleticism, Satvik's very big and tender heart. And I hope all 3 of you know, as you go through your lives, how deep his love was for the 3 of you. And, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, let that love warm your heart. The other thing about my father-in-law is that he woke up every morning and the first thought he had is, "Yen marana," okay? Like, what should we do today, okay? And he was a doer. He was always doing something. And there was not a minute that he wasn't probably even planning for the next thing he was gonna do, right? He loved being active and making, serving people, living a life of service. And if there's anything I hope my children carry forward from, everything he shared with us and taught us and, helped us to learn, is that, we should do things. And not just do things, we should do something every day. We should do something great. We should aspire for that. Make the world a better place, reduce suffering, bring joy to people around you. And this is really the legacy he has left us with, is to continue his life of doing the best and serving. So, namaskara, thank you all.
You want to say something?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Much has been spoken about Jayaram from his family. Now, apart from his family, there is another bigger family that he had, this family of friends, which is very wide. And we all know that we met here today to remember his life. Not only to remember his life, but to recognize the outstanding contributions he's made, not only to his family, but also to his bigger and larger family, namely his friends, his community, his, like NASA, his service towards his country, India and United States of America, 2 countries to serve both countries very well. And then he had service to the national safety and security of the United States, which is our country today. His contributions are magnificent. He dedicated his whole life to the service of his friends and their family, the service of Sanketis. What he did has reverberated not only in this country, but also has reverberated in Europe, Singapore, Australia, and all other countries, the advent of NASA, what it did was to lit a flame of enthusiasm among all the Sanketis and to teach them and tell them how we're all one and what we share in common as Sanketis. That he did it better than anybody else among the Sanketi community, I can tell you. He was made the first president of the NASA for reasons best known to me, because he was a leader. He loved this country. He served this country. And therefore he had abundant enthusiasm, inspiration, and dedication to service, that he was able to fulfill this expectation that we all had, and in abundant measure. So what I don't want to take much of your time. I said that we not only feel sorry to lose him, but we always had him with us. We must thank the Lord for giving us the opportunity to share him with all of us. We've enjoyed his birth and his life, as you all know very well. And this is a day to cherish. His whole service was devoted, his whole life was devoted to service. And what he told us all is to follow me by example. He was so very humble. He never spoke about himself. He let other people do the speaking on his behalf for who he is and who he was and what he has done to society. So it is our duty to follow him and his example. And may God give him peace of mind, tranquility, even in the other life. May the Lord give his family the mental strength to endure his loss. So with that, I close my remarks and urge all of you to follow his example. Thank you. May God bless all of you.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to the country also. I know you served in the army as well.
And Doctor.
My father always regarded you deeply as a maestro, and I think that's teacher.
Maestro.
And he was really good at cards.
Only one sentence. The one who was primarily responsible for inducing me and encouraging me and inspiring me to serve this country is to enroll in the army. But for him, I would never have been a member of the Army Medical Corps and was able to do what little I could do for the safety and security of this country. I was with him in the Army Medical Corps, and we were both honest and dedicated soldiers of this country. So I thank him for giving me that special opportunity to serve this country, for the debt I owe to this country.
Thank you very much. So we have one more speaker here, who's my dear Sundaresh uncle, who was a very close friend, my father for many, many decades. So please come on up. He was a little hesitant to talk because he said he might get too emotional. So hopefully you can make it.
Thank you. I did not come with any prepared remarks because I want to speak from my heart what I feel at this moment. Jayaram was not just a close friend, he was also a relative. Jayaram's brother was married to my and my wife Nalini's common cousin. And we first came under the same roof back when
back in 1956, when his oldest brother, who is still living, was married to our common cousin, as I said. But at that time, we did not meet because the age difference of 7 years means a lot in those younger years than it does now. I'm sorry. I will now deal with two of other Jayaram's passions. His passion for travel and his passion for astronomy, both of which I share. I probably was somewhat influential in his developing a passion for these two. And as part of his passion for astronomy, we made trips together to several countries to view the total solar eclipse or the annular eclipse. And on one such trip, when we were returning, this was in a Latin American country, we were stopped by a group of urchins who were probably terrorists, whatever, and we felt threatened. Jayaram then just told them he was from the US Army, and then they disappeared. They disappeared. Okay, that's one incident I can recall. Another thing is we went to China to view the total solar eclipse there. That's one aspect of it. And then I also used to point to him in the sky where Venus was, where Jupiter be seen, and things like that. That was one passion. The other passion, as I said, is travel. We traveled to Brazil, we traveled to several countries together, and in each of these countries, we had a great time. You've probably seen on some of the pictures, we were in China together. So these are some of the things I will cherish for all times. And Jayaram also had another quality, his generosity. There was a time when we were migrating from California, good old California, which I never wanted to do, but for green card purposes, I had to move to the east. And we were traveling, and then Jayaram was in Long Island at that time. So we were there, homeless, actually, with the limited resources. We come to New York, and then we were looking for a place to stay. Obviously, we could not afford a hotel at that time. So then, after one or two unsuccessful attempts with other people, I approached Jayaram. He immediately said, "Come over, no problem." So we spent a couple of days with Jayaram, and then we moved to New Jersey. That's one incident, one of several incidents of generosity on his part. He also introduced me to American football. And then I remember the first one was, I think, Vikings were playing. So he introduced me to, there were several things we did together, and I can never forget him. So he will always live in my life. Thank you.
I know it's getting late, it's 1:15. I know there are a lot of other people who wanted to speak. So I'm not sure what to do now. If somebody wants to talk briefly, please do, but I would encourage you to also all go to the memory board that was posted on the invitation and elsewhere. And please, pour out your heart or love for him, whether it's by song or video or poem or writing, however, photos that you may have of him. I think we would all enjoy that, because I can promise you that I will be going there periodically, regularly, to see what else has been uploaded, and I am definitely going to take a look, and I'm sure we all will. It's a community area, we are all in a community, and that he cared for so much, and you all are involved in that community, and I deeply appreciate all of you being here, and taking the time out of your busy schedules, coming from all over the place, California, Boston, Utah, on a through trip, coming off of skiing, bringing skis to Florida, which is a bold move. I've never seen that happen, you don't live in Florida. But, so I think unless there's somebody, you got, yeah, okay. Okay, so we got 2 quick speeches, and then we're gonna hit lunch. Okay, can you guys bear with us for a few more minutes? Okay, all right. If anybody needs to go, I totally understand, and you can do a hit and run, or you can just kind of stand by.
Namaskar to all. My name is Nataraj. I have come from Maryland just to be with the extended family. Jayaram has been in my life for more than 6 decades. So it's a long duration. Almost all my life, I should say. A few years into my life, I met him for the first time in in Hassan. And he came to see me when I came here as a student to Pittsburgh. He came with Balakrishna and Jaya to meet me because I was new to this country. That was in 1969. So you can imagine the friendship goes back for a long time. Jayaram has been a very interesting person. A true Sanketi to the core. That's who he is. In my mind, first he's a Sanketi to the core, then a Kannadiga, and a true Indian, and an American. And he has done well in all those roles, as Mysore said. There were a number of occasions that we had some discussions and sometimes even arguments. Coming from Narasimha family, I think he had some Narasimha characteristics. So it always required some Lakshmi to come and calm him down. Otherwise he would sit on Hiranyakashipu and tear him apart. But at the same time, he was very dynamic. He was very different from everybody else because even though he was a doctor, he didn't confine himself to just be a medical doctor. He became an expert in public health. He became an expert in army and did lots of things. I just want to remember 1 or 2 things. When he came to my apartment in Roselle Park, New Jersey, he wanted to play chess with me. I said, hey, I hardly know the game. He said, don't worry, I will teach you. I said, okay. I was not very enthusiastic. He was like a teacher. He said, hey, pay attention. And he taught me how to play the game and said, let's play. So I started playing. And I was doing some good moves. He said, don't tell me, you must be lying. You probably knew. And you told me you don't know how to play chess. I said, no, I know what the game is, but this is the first time I'm playing with someone. And it did take him a little while to defeat me. Of course, he defeated me. That was not unexpected. But that is one incident where he was happy to say, okay, I have taught you something useful. The other very interesting thing that I remember about him is when he was about to start this NASA, we had some discussions about it, and I was trying to tell him, hey, let's leave that Sanketi behind. We are all, Indians, maybe Kannadigas. But he said, no, we've got to do it here. We have come all the way, we must start. And then he said, do you know how to play 28? I said, yeah, I do. So he invited me to join the group. I said, I'm not going to play for money. He said, what do you mean? You don't play 28 without staying? I said, truly, I don't. He said, how can you be serious? I said, I'll show you, come on. And I told him, I have played, nobody can forget his Eleka Upinkai.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody here who has attended an ASA meeting has not only enjoyed it there, but also bought some home. I just want to end with one Subhashita. Whenever we lose a friend or a family member, I remember this. It goes like this. Ayur varsha shatam runam parimitam ratrau tadardham gatam tasya ardhasya parasya sardham aparam balatva buddhatvayoh shesham vyadhi viyoga dukkha sahitam sevadhivirniyate jive varitaranga budbuda same saukyam kuta pranina. It's a very beautiful Subhashita. If you imagine that a human being has got 100 years of life, Ayur varsha shatam runam parimitam, let's assume that he has got 100 years of life. Ratrau tadardham gatam, half of it is spent in the nights. So you are left with 50 years now. Tasyardhasya parasya sardhamaparam bharatva vruddhatvayoho. Then you take away a quarter of it for your being a child and a boy and being useless, and then being old later on and being sick. So you probably have 25 years left. Tasyardhasya parasya sardhamaparam bharatva vruddhatvayoho shesham vyadhi, sickness, viyoga, separation, dukkha sahitam, lots of troubles in life and then sorrow. So when this is the case, this is for 100 years. You are also forgetting how much time you spend on the roads, in the traffic jams and so on and so forth. But life is not 100 years for everybody. Jive vari taranga budbuda same. It's like a bubble of water. Vari taranga means it's a wave, water wave. It's a bubble on the top of a wave. That's how unstable the human being's life is. So, Saukyam Kutak Praninam, where is happiness for the human beings? So this is what we should sort of keep in mind in our background when we live. So, live the day, be happy, be useful, be friendly, just as somebody explained, without hate, with Maitri. So Jayaram was doing that. Jayaram has lived an excellent life, very useful life, and I think an exemplary life.
Jivanotsaha.
Right. His name, another name is Utsaha, another name is Adventure. So I think being sorry for the situation is natural, but I think we should all, Jai Shri Ram, we should say once for him, Jai Shri Ram. Thank you.
One thing I want to say. His passion for 28, there was an afterthought in us, maybe we should have played 28, it would have gotten up.
You might have gotten up.
28 would have gotten up, I thought. We thought, but it was an afterthought. We were too late.
Okay, so the last one here is his 3 grandchildren, and I don't know what they've got prepared, but please bear with us for a couple of minutes. All right, come on, you're on.
Hello, my name is Satvik, I'm 12, and so when I was like about 4, 5, 6, my family taught me how to play chess, right? And I mean, I wasn't that good, like, just a casual player, right? But then, when Dana came along, he taught me a lot of stuff, so, yeah, I'm thankful for that. He got me probably like 3 to 4 times as good as I was, so, yeah.
Oh, good job.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Denny.
I'm Naveen.
And everyone here who has already spoken has touched on a lot of the things that we had to talk about, which we don't need to reiterate the same themes, but at the end of the day, we've both talked about how he was a huge part of the community, great friend, wonderful member of the family, but we had the privilege as his grandchildren of having him as our friend and family. Most primarily, that meant he loved bullying him with us. You know, he talked about how something skipped a generation, yeah, went straight to us. And so we have some stories that we can add on to. So, I mean, if you want to kick it off.
Okay. That's okay. All right, so, 2 things that really stuck with me that not necessarily taught me, but, you know, you could see it in his everyday life. The first thing was, you know, whatever happened, he just had that drive to just keep moving forward, you know, even if it was bad, something good happened, you know, you just gotta keep going, stay strong, and just keep moving forward. And then the second thing was his work ethic. Obviously to provide, you know, Daddy and Mark Uncle with a great life here in the U.S., and then obviously down to us. Our great life in the U.S. is all thanks to him and his hard work. So, yeah, and obviously, again, as was said earlier, just staying active always, you know, waking up and just saying, I'm going to do something great today, and doing something great that day. So, those are just 2 big things for me.
A couple other funny stories about work ethic. So he promised me to start that when I turned 16, if I got all straight A's and perfect scores on everything, I'd get whatever car I wanted. Ironically, I don't have a driver's license, but also neither of us achieved that because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a car. Didn't make it, then the promise was passed on to Naveen. We didn't hit the 100s like he did, I won't lie. But, you know, we worked really hard for it, so. A couple other funny ones. I believe he's the one that first said that the Alishpur side is like bulls in a china shop. My dear brother Naveen, that's him for sure. One time, my brother and I had to watch Naveen while my dad was like doing something, I don't really know. Naveen took his metal t-ball bat and like knocked out all of our solar lights, just went one by one. Home running, each one, broken everywhere. And my dad's like, what happened? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And Naveen's like, woohoo, run. Another one that really skipped the generation, like my dad said, being really loud. That's also, I'd say, in line with the bull in the china shop. All 3 of us love being loud, drives him crazy. Another one that I'd say really is fun to gang up on him with is, we've all heard 28 be mentioned, but the Y family side takes games seriously. Seriously, oh my goodness. And I remember about a year and a half ago, we all had this big family get together, and this is the first time I was actually allowed to play, because, you know, you have to like do your whole apprenticeship, learn how to play, make sure you know, so you don't lose other people's money. So we're playing this big game at this big table, it's like everyone. And I'm finally allowed to play, I'm like, oh, this is great, I'm gonna have so much fun, let's go. And then, he loses bad. And, or no, sorry. So first he starts, and he's like, first he wins big, and he's like, oh yeah, we're playing for money now, like everyone put your money in, like we're playing for money. And then my brother and I was like, all right, fine, like you say we're playing for money, like that means we have to take this seriously. And he's like, Dominique, it's your first time playing, I'm gonna sponsor you for this. Same thing, you know, if you win, I win, if you lose, we lose, whatever. Then the next round, he loses badly, like horribly. And he was so confident, terrible game. And then he's like, no, we're not playing for money. I don't know what you're talking about. he's like, what? I never said we're playing for money. And my brother stands up at the head of the table and is like, okay, James, whatever you say, whatever you say goes. Not like 5 minutes ago, you just said we're all playing for money. We all made this whole big deal about it. But now, now we're not playing for money now that you've lost. So he was the number one person to put him in check, which was always comedy for us. But I think that one of the most important lessons that I ever learned, was like one of the first really defining memories for me about him, was I was in 3rd grade, I was 8 years old, and I made my email address. And it was fun for me to email there, and I was like, wow, I'm such a big girl. And he had an email signature, which I'm sure almost everyone here has seen. The happiest of people don't necessarily have the best of everything, they just make the best of everything.
Yeah.
And I think that I've really, for a long time, tried to figure out exactly what that means. And I think that I've now understood what it really means to make the best of everything. I think Naveen touched on it, everyone here has touched on making the best of everything. And I really hope that at the end now, he did feel like he not only had the best, but also made the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for all of your patience. It's 1:30. It's definitely very late. We need to hit the lunch line. And I hope you enjoyed. I really want to thank you all for coming. If anybody wants to talk while people are mingling, they want to sing a song, feel free. It's open mic. There's no pressure to do so either. You can always use a good board. Oh yeah. Sorry, one final prayer before we eat the food, but it can be in preparation mode. Just take a 1 minute.
ಇದ್ರದ್ದು ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಲೂಸ್ ಆಯಿತು. ವೈಫೈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡೆ ಸಖತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮದು. ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ದ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay, let's say a short prayer. Om Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamaashritah Pranapalasmayuktah Chaminam Chaturvidam Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi Brahmarnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Ganthovyam Brahmakarma Samadhina Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. On final note, he was teaching this Mahabharata class, and he did a very eloquent job in explaining Mahabharata stories and episodes. We want to that class to continue. We are working on it. It's a very difficult shoe to step into for anybody, but I think we will have the class restart in a couple of weeks. And when that happens, when we know the final details, we will send messages to everybody in the class.
ಜಯರಾಮ್ ರವರ ವೈಕುಂಠ ಸಮಾರಾಧನೆ ಇವತ್ತು ನೆರವೇರಿದೆ. ಜಯರಾಮ್ರವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಒಳಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮರೆಯೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಕನ್ನಡದವರಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಸಂಕೇತಗಳಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಭಾರತೀಯರಾಗಿರಲಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಈವನ್ ಅಮೇರಿಕದವರಾಗಿದ್ದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರನ್ನು ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅಥವಾ ಒಬ್ಬ ಬಂಧುವಾಗಿ ಅವರ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಜೃಂಭಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಮಹಾನ್ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಫಿಸಿಕಲಿ ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ ಅವರಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಅವರ ಆತ್ಮ ನಮ್ಮೊಳಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಚೈತನ್ಯ, ಆ ಒಂದು ನಗುಮುಖ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಶಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಅವರನ್ನು ಚಿರನೂತನವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ ಎಂಬ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯ ನುಡಿಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಇಂದಿನ ಈ ಲೈವ್ ಬ್ರಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟನ್ನು ಈಗ ನಾವು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಲಿ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಜಯರಾಮರವರಿಗೆ ನಮನಗಳು.